in Madison, it is 63 degrees. In Eau Claire, it's 43 degrees. In Waukesha, it's 56 degrees. Right here in Milwaukee, it's 49 degrees. I'm Sean Brenda, Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 8:07.
Baseball season is fast approaching, and the Brew Crew are getting ready for a run at a third straight NL Central title.
It is gone!
This is Brewers Weekly, live from spring training from sunny Phoenix, Arizona. Here's your host, Dominic Cotroneo.
All right, series winners, back on track. No panic button here. Everything's A-okay. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Dom Cotroneo. Thanks for joining us here this evening for a modified Brewers Weekly post-game show, kind of doing both. We're on a Wednesday, not a Thursday. We got a night game tomorrow, and we'll have another Brewers extra innings tomorrow night, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. Plenty of content. 4 straight games with the Cincinnati Reds coming to town, but we got to talk about winning back-to-back games. They got in the win column yesterday, and today they win in walk-off fashion. We'll have the highlights at the end of this segment, too. And then we'll also hear from Pat Murphy and Freddie Peralta later on in the program. Also on our agenda today, we're going to go beyond the box score with what is making Freddie so successful this early in the season. Also want to break down what the Brewers' pitching rotation looks like maybe by the end of the month and what the Brewers could be plotting and scheming and how this is all going to fit on the roster. And also just some grand reaction to the amount of extensions we've suddenly seen across Major League Baseball and whether or not could we see one here in Milwaukee to one of these young stars in the Brew Crew. So all of that to come. But real quick, if you missed today's game, man, that was super, super fun. Brewers had to get back on track. Freddie Peralta versus Cole Reagans, an ace-off, if you will. And tell you what, I'm not going to talk about Cole Reagans much the rest of the day. He was phenomenal. Man, as advertised, my first time seeing him in person. You also got to remember my backstory with Cole Reagans is the fact that I used to work in the Rangers organization in their minor leagues, and for years, Cole Reagans was sort of this, this guy's going to come. You know, he's first-round pick. He's going to be really good. And then he was just always hurt. And then the Royals flipped a rental of Aroldis Chapman into Cole Reagans. Now, granted, the Rangers won the World Series thanks in part to Aroldis Chapman in 2023. But it worked out pretty well to have a back-to-back opening day starter with Cole Reagans on the other side. But I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and get into the highlights from today's game, from some of the big moments from this one as the Brewers and the Royals got things going. Things got going fast early in this contest. Jackson Chourio with his first homer of the season.
Change-up, drill, deep left. Chourio gives it a ride and gone. Jackson Chourio, number 1.
Chourio getting a monkey off his back, home run number 1. So already Brewers out to a quick 1-0 lead in this contest. The Royals wouldn't respond for a few innings, but things started out great for Freddie Peralta. He allowed a 2-out double or a 1-out double and then an RBI, but no big deal. I mean, it's a 1-run game. It's a pitch off. We're through 2 innings, and then both pitchers really settled in from here as Reagans would end up with 10 strikeouts, 6th career double-digit strikeout game for him. But after the RBI single by Kevin Biggio in the second, Freddie locked it in. So much so, he was on a streak of retired batters.
Great 5 innings to start. The 1-2. Struck him out on a breaking ball, knocked down by Contreras. India gives himself up. Another K for Freddie, number 7. Back-to-back strikeouts. That's 12 in a row set down by Freddie Peralta.
Jeff Levering's call there earlier. Then he had a 1-2-3 7th and got by with a little help from his friends on the defense.
Massey, left-handed hitter. And the righty Peralta brings home the pitch, and here's a flare, and that one's pulled down by Hoskins at first base. Oh, Reese timed it perfectly, climbed the ladder, and a very quick 1-2-3 inning for Freddie Peralta. Here in the top of the 7th. Maybe they'll give him the 8th.
They would give him the 8th, but the Brewers had a chance in the bottom half of the 7th inning. They had runners on 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. A leadoff walk by Garrett Mitchell, a double by Joey Ortiz. then nothing. Granted, you'll hear Pat Murphy talk about it later, but he thinks Garrett Mitchell made the wrong read on a high chopper to short, but granted, it was Bobby Witt Jr. there at short. That would be a tough guy to try to run on. That was with the infield in, so you hesitate, you stay put. Then the next batter, that was with nobody out too. Then with the contact play on, he gets thrown at the plate. But still, the Brewers had the opportunity and could not get the ball out of the infield. Freddie did return for that 8th inning, and man, he continued his great start.
Still a 1-1 game in the 8th. Peralta trying to get it to the bottom of the 8th, still tied. The 1-2 pitch. Ground ball hit to third. Capra has it on the second bounce. Straightens up. Throws to first in time. 8 sparkling innings for Freddie Peralta and retires the final 19 he faces. What a gem by the Brewers ace.
He is the ace. Ace-like behavior, but the best stat from today from Freddie Peralta, 0 walks. Unfortunately, 0 in the decision column, too. He gets a no decision exiting in a tie game. It was still tied. We go to the top of the 9th. Trevor McGill in a non-save situation. He has a tough time going here with Vinny Pasquantino at the plate. He just struck out Bobby Witt Jr. Jonathan India is still standing on second base.
Still a 1-ball, 2-strike count in the pitch. Check swing, breaking ball. Yes, he did. Contreras tags him out, and the inning ends. 3 Ks for Trevor McGill, and the Brewers will try and win it the bottom of the 9th.
They would not win it in the bottom of the 9th. They go down 1-2-3 against Daniel Lynch IV. The placed runner would score in the top of the 10th inning for the Royals. The Brewers had to respond in the bottom half, and it was the Wonderkind leading off.
Estevez looking in. And the pitch. Line down the left field line. That is down into the corner. Extra bases for Churio. Terang will score and tie it. Churio ends up at second. It is a 2-2 ball game. Jackson Churio with a 3-hit day here this afternoon.
Blaine Grindle's call there. The Brewers once again would have an opportunity with the bases loaded and nobody out and fail to score again. In the top of the 11th, Jared Koenig throws a 0, not allowing the placed runner to score. And at the bottom of the 11th inning, the Brewers had to find a way. Garrett Mitchell was initially bunting, wasn't able to get the bunt down, instead pulls a ground ball, which allows the runner to get the third, that placed runner being Oliver Dunn. Then a walk by Joey Ortiz, a 9-pitch battle. He had a really quietly good day at the plate today in the 9th spot. Then it was up to Bryce Terang back at the top of the order, who at this point was 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts.
He is 0 for 5. First pitch. Bunting it up the first baseline. It's a good bunt. Racing home is done. He will score. Bryce Terang gets the job done. And the Brewers walk off the Royals on this Wednesday afternoon. And the Crew, after dropping Game 1 on Monday, have won the series against Kansas City.
Fun one, second career walk-off hit for Bryce Terang, an absolutely perfect squeeze bunt. Oliver Dunn read it. As soon as the butt was down, he was gone, and for some reason, Sam Long still threw the ball to first base. Just everything about that made me chuckle a little bit. Like, hey, man, 1 run wins it. Like, this throw's got to go home. Don't know why he threw to first, but hey, doesn't matter. Brewers win, and they win a series against a team that was in the playoffs last year. All right, back on track. Even after losing the first game, that's something to generate some momentum with. Let's hear from Freddie Peralta coming up after our first break. If you want to join the program, the Siding Unlimited WTMJ Talking text line is 855-616-1620. Again, 855-616-1620. Right here in your home of the Brewers, 620 WTMJ.
Back with more Brewers Weekly after this.
When you need commercial or residential plumbing service, you need it now. Call Quality. We have over a 60-year track record of taking care of people. And with over 60 vehicles ready to respond to your needs, we'll be there in a hurry, so you won't have to worry. This is Anthony Zaneski. For commercial or residential plumbing service, call Quality and get the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality. Heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. At Quality, we offer the most respected brand names in heating and air conditioning. Armstrong and Carrier. It doesn't get any better. And our technicians are top-notch. I know, because I handpicked every one of them. They're vetted and thoroughly trained. Hey, they're the cream of the crop. And that's why our quality workmanship guarantee is the strongest in the business.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality. Heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric.
Get your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to buy at accunet.com. For those with a warm weather passion, try St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores because that's where you'll find a vast array of men's, women's, girls, and boys' warm weather apparel at the friendliest prices. So many choices and at such a value. You can fill the closet without draining your wallet. Shop warm weather fashions at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Put your first baseball weekend on the calendar when the Brewers take on the Reds Thursday, April 3rd through Sunday the 6th. Join the series opener for Hockey Theme Night, where you can grab an awesome hockey-style hooded sweatshirt with special tickets. And don't miss the first giveaway of the season, a Brewers long-sleeve hoodie for the first 25,000 fans on Saturday, April 5th. Plus, find your next favorite ballpark eats at our all-new food truck park and much more. Get your seats now at brewers.com.
This is Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Welcome back. I'm Dom Catronio. Easy pick for today's player of the game. Normally have a poll after victories for the Crew. It's the guy who went 8 strong innings with 8 strikeouts and no walks. So now in 13 innings this season, Freddie Peralta, 0 in the walk column. We all know how important that is for Freddie Peralta. I know he gets a no decisions today, but it's only his second career start going 8 innings, the other one being in 2019 against the Reds in opening weekend. But for Freddie to already be establishing, I'm an ace, I'm here, this is a lot like what he did last year. Remember those first 6-7 starts last year were terrific for Freddie. We want to see him continue to stack good days. There's going to be a clunker in there. There's going to be a couple clunkers in there. Always is. That's how pitching works. But seeing Freddie attack with a new mixture of pitches, we'll talk about that in the Beyond the Box score, but how Freddie's feeling confidence-wise to get things going, working with William Contreras again this season. The fastball continues to be the majority, but the changeup has been mixing in well as well. Here's how he feels about working with Wild Bill William Contreras.
Yeah, I think the way that we were calling the game, Contreras behind the play, set up everything. It set it up the curveball because we were using the fastball on the top. And sometimes we came down with the fastball and then come back up and use the curveball. It helps. It helps how I was able to pitch tonight, but at the same time, the job that he did behind the play.
So having familiarity over these last 3 seasons working together, super helpful for what William's able to do with Freddie, understanding how his pitches work. But I made the call earlier today watching him pitch and the way that he was attacking him. Man, pitch count was under control. He had not a single inning went beyond 20 pitches for him, which is fantastic pace for your entire game. But the fact is, you saw what the bullpen's been going through. You saw what Chad Patrick did yesterday pitching into the 5th inning. Freddie Peralta seeing the bullpen used as much as it's been used in the slow start. I saw a guy that said, get on my back, I got this. Let's get back on track. Let's get things going in the right direction. And he felt that a little bit too.
Feels really good, especially because we get the win. Also, too, what I had on mind was the situation that we've been having, for the last week. We've been using the bullpen a lot, and my goal was to stay in the game longer as I can to give a little bit of breathe to the bullpen.
And overall, this is a series win. And against a team that, again, like we said, was in the playoffs, and a team that, they're a quality team. Bobby Witt Jr. is a superstar. Vinny Pasquantino is great. The top of that, Jonathan India, he's off to a great start this season, too. Michael Massey's coming into his own. Their bullpen, sneaky really good. Lucas Urseg, old friend. Daniel Lynch. Estevez. They've got a good setup there in the American League Central. But how important it was to just win a series and finally feel like you have momentum going in the right direction.
It feels really good, especially because, we had a lot of people going the other way, because we start with the left foot. And we were, even me, I was feeling a little bit, like, damn, we need to do something, as a team and get better. Because I think it was the first time ever since I've been here that we started the season that way. But, I told some people around too, like, take it easy, calm down. It's only 4 games in, the season is really long. We're just starting, but at the same time, we were competing outside, and now we're just seeing what we want to see, and hopefully stay like that for the next series and for the rest of the season.
And I know he wanted to say, bullpen, take a day, we don't need you. But then the game with the extra innings, and he needed to use Jared Koenig and Trevor McGill and Abner Uribe. So all 3 of those guys are probably going to be down for tomorrow's game, given they also pitched in yesterday's game. They're not going to go 3 in a row this early in the season, which is why you're hoping Nestor Cortez can also get the memo tomorrow and give some length for the Crew. So that's a little bit from Freddie. Let's break it down a little bit deeper coming up in the next segment. Let's go beyond the box score. 8 strong frames from Freddie. How did he do it? Let's solve that riddle coming up next here on 620 WTMJ.
Catch more Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ. Steve Scafidi is your guide through the world of politics.
Will Trump do the right thing here and get rid of one of these guys because somebody screwed up?
There will be a sacrificial lamb. Yeah. My money's on it being Mike Waltz. Because in Trump's mind, the cardinal sin, why did he have Jeffrey Goldberg's cell phone number in the first place?
On the Political Power Hour.
I'd have a couple signal chats, none of which I would want to read on the front page of the Milwaukee Journal.
What do you got your disappearing messages set
right?
to?
One's a political one, one's with buddies.
Weekday mornings from 9 to 10 on WTMJ.
The deeper the hole, the more damage you're going to cause, especially if you're driving around with low tire pressure.
We're talking about potholes, and if you're not careful, they'll spring up out of nowhere and bite you right in the keister.
We've fixed broken ball joints, broken control arms, blown struts, damaged wheel alignments.
You name it, we've fixed it. That wheel alignment is an adjustment of your suspension, which is a system that connects your car to its wheels.
And when your alignment's off, you get uneven, premature tire wear, and we have a fix for that too.
If a pothole has bitten you where it hurts, come to Richlands for a professional evaluation by one of our ASE certified technicians.
And at the very least, we'll make sure you have the right amount of air pressure in your tires.
And remember, be safe, buckle up, and hey, always make sure you've got good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands, your
Due for service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
Jake suffered with carpal tunnel syndrome. Tingling numbness in my hands and fingers, not sleeping well at night, tossing and turning, trying to manage with pain pills and stretching, and it just wasn't helping. He didn't want the traditional invasive carpal tunnel surgery. I had seen people with the bandages and scars and clubs for hands. I just don't have time to be incapable of doing things for 6 to 8 to 10 weeks. Then he learned about the Ovation Hand Institute and the Ovation Technique, an ultra minimally invasive procedure done in the office. I wanted to get it looked at sooner than later. So I had the virtual consult. It was very thorough as far as like I was sitting in a doctor's office. I was booked for the procedure 2 weeks later, had my right hand done. Very quick procedure. It was really great. That very night when I went home, it was the first time in probably 3 months my hand did not wake me up. Book an appointment with the Ovation Hand Institute and find out if you're a candidate for the Ovation Technique. Probably the most surprising thing was how quickly I was able to do things again. I'm cooking dinner, I'm doing yard work and all that kind of stuff the next day. Visit ovationhand.com. ovationhand.com.
It's Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
855-616-1620 is the phone number. 855-616-1620. The Saturday Unlimited WTMJ talk and text line. I'm Dom Catronio. We got a Wednesday edition of Brewers Weekly here on your home of the Brewers after back-to-back dubs. First divisional matchup coming up this weekend. 4-game set with the Reds, and mentioned it the other day. You won't see the Reds again here in Milwaukee until the very last series of the year. So get them while you can if you want to see the Redlegs here in the good land. Let's talk a little bit more about Freddie. Then after this segment, we're going to hear from Pat Murphy to put a bow on this game and hear his press conference in full. And then we move on to what the rest of the league and what the rest of this weekend is going to look like here on this homestand. So Freddie Peralta, we talked about the changeup a lot on opening day and that it was the third highest rate he used the changeup. Maybe that was an anomaly. Maybe that was just what he felt like that day. It was not an anomaly. He used the changeup at a similar rate once again today. Used it at 21%, which was the second most used breaking ball, or I should say secondary pitch of his arsenal today. But he mixed in more sliders today than he did in his start against the Yankees. He only threw 2 sliders against the Yankees today. He threw 12. Also added in 11 curveballs. Let me start with the curveball. The curveball has always been kind of this big, loopy pitch. Not necessarily a chase pitch for him sometimes, but I'm going to have a video break this down. Hopefully tomorrow afternoon I can get it done. But the way that he's using the curveball is drastically different year over year than he did, in 2024. This season, specifically against righties, he's not afraid to have that land for a strike. It's not solely a chase pitch, meaning There were times when he was trying to throw it for a strike and it'd be a hanger and it'd catch too much in the middle of the zone. And when you look at the heat map from last year versus this year on his curveball, it's real tight at the bottom of the zone and just below the zone, meaning it's a strike to ball chase pitch, meaning it looks like a strike, you have to fight it, and then it's that slower breaking ball that's not his slider. This is 80 miles an hour. You have to hold up, and then, oh no, that wasn't the slider, that was the curveball, and you swing over the top of it if things go right. The reason why I want to point that out today, of the 7 swings he got on that curveball today, the Royals swung and missed at all 7. Let me say that again. That is a 100% whiff rate. Of the 7 curveballs the Royals swung at, they whiffed on all 7 of them. Furthermore, he threw 11 total curveballs. 9 of the 11 were either a called strike or a swing and a miss. 0 balls in play, 0 foul balls. That's an 82% called strike whiff rate, the CSW rate. That may sound like word vomit, word salad. Those are the most valuable strikes where the bat doesn't touch the ball. A called strike or a swing and miss. You'd rather have those than foul balls, and remember, a strike is technically a ball in play too. 100% whiff rate on the curveball this early in the season. Let's keep monitoring that for him. The next thing I want to monitor with Freddie, the movement of his slider. Okay, he only threw it twice at Yankee Stadium, so we didn't really learn anything about his slider. It was a cold day, windy day. Wasn't a day to keep an eye on. Today, different story. Today, we saw the shape of his slider definitely different than what it was a season ago. Freddie average vertical break on his slider was 34 inches. And if I'm talking a foreign language to you, let me try to Rosetta Stone this for you. 34 inches of vertical drop, meaning it's with gravity, how much the ball is dropping. He topped out at 37 inches of drop. Whereas the horizontal break averaged at 9. So just like it sounds, how does it move from right to left from the pitcher's perspective, a.k.a. glove side. And then vertical is how much it goes down, and that number is included with gravity. And there's always a number, and then we can get into the Magnus effect. We don't need to do that. That's a 400 level class. Let's stay here in the 100 level. The reason why I wanted to point out those two numbers, okay, 34 vertical and 9 horizontal. So just picture that on like an XY plane. I'm bringing you back to calculus class. Last year, the average vertical on his slider was 39. So he's tightened that up. It's not dropping as much on purpose. Whereas the horizontal was 7.5 inches. So he's traded vertical drop for a little bit more width. But perhaps that's leading to a little bit more control for Freddie's slider. This is on par with the most he's had glove side movement since his great 2021 season, but that's when it was more like a sweeper. Had the same vertical movement that we had now in 2021, but he had a lot wider movement. That would have been almost called a sweeper back in 2021 if that was in vogue then. But the fact that he's tightened up that horizontal means maybe he can control it a little bit better. And that's why we're seeing the breaking ball kind of play a second fiddle to how great the changeup has been. He's not afraid to throw a changeup to righties. He threw 20 total changeups today. He got only 2 whiffs on it today, but 8 swings, a 25% whiff rate on that. By the way, on the slider, he had 3 more whiffs, and only throwing 12 pitches. That's a really good rate, good ratio there, too. All of this is to say, fastball Freddie, the fastball becomes better because he now, in theory, has command of 3 other pitches. And if I had to grade out, the curveball seems like it's in a really good spot. We'll need a little bigger sample on that. The changeup, I'd say, is good, but it doesn't need to be perfect because it plays off the fastball so well. It's almost like he's using the changeup like other pitchers would be using a sinker, where, hey, I need a ground ball. I don't mind a swing. I don't necessarily need a swing and miss, but I need something to just throw a wrinkle now to this guy and have him thinking, because now he's got velocity separation across all 4 pitches in a very healthy way. So he averaged 95 on his fastball today. He averaged 90 on his changeup. He averaged 84 on his slider, and he averaged 81 on his curveball, but those two have very different movement profiles. So the thought to have to range, and if you want to go by his maximum versus his minimum, the slowest curveball he threw was 79. The fastest fastball he threw was 97. Almost 20-mile-an-hour difference. You have to cover that. That's hard to do as a hitter. That's what makes your fastball better if they have to respect he's not afraid to throw a changeup. He's not afraid to throw a curveball. To think that he threw 56% fastballs, which math, 44% everything else. If I would have told you that in 2018 about Freddie Peralta, that in 7 years' time, he's not just going to be fastball Freddie anymore. He is going to mix. He is going to work counts. He is going to be able to have command of multiple pitches, not just fastball, curveball. We're going to monitor that the rest of the year because if Freddie continues to show command of 3 secondary pitches, again, none of them are like 80 grade, oh my God, that's the nastiest pitch I've ever seen. But because he's already got an elite fastball, if you pair it with flash plus, as they call in the industry, secondary stuff, that's what aces do. They have something extraordinary, maybe 2 pitches that are extraordinary. For Freddie, his extraordinary pitch is his fastball. But you got to do something else extraordinary. And if command of secondaries becomes that other extraordinary, look out. Could be a massive year for Freddie. This text from David in Superior. A lot of pop in the bats from the guys who are typically in the bottom of the order these first 6 games. I was bothered with Collins batting third today until he hit a double in the first. Too bad it didn't result in anything. It reminded me of Tyler Black batting third last year. We'll talk about the lineup after we hear from Pat Murphy coming up on the other side of this break. We'll hear his full press conference after this on 620 WTMJ.
More Brewers Weekly coming up on WTMJ.
You gotta get to Built Right today. WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here telling you about Built Right's extended Friends and Family Mattress Sale. Their one location saves you time and money, and they make it easy to shop and easy to buy. I know. We just got my son a new mattress at Built Right. With the guaranteed lowest prices, they'll beat any big box, national or local chain store, department store, online retailer, warehouse club, or employee-free store. Built Right also has the best value, selection, and experienced team in Wisconsin. With over 60 models on display, don't you want folks with knowledge in the store to guide you through your purchase? Choose from the best mattress brands made in the USA, Heirloom, Gold Bond, Therapeutic, Restonic, and Schiffman. Built Right specializes in hard-to-find, flippable, two-sided, and heavy-duty mattresses. Plus, Built Right offers free delivery and removal on mattress-only purchases of $7.99 or more. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, closed to be with family. Tell them Vinny sent you to Built Right, 54th and Layton Avenue in Greenfield.
At Erickson's Landscape Supply, we have durable, maintenance-free polywood patio furniture and #1 grade treated natural pine Amish-made patio furniture. And we also have a wonderful assortment of concrete benches, statues, and fountains available in a selection you just gotta see to believe. Erickson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less, plus a whole lot more. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection or stop on in today. He told us to load 4 yards into his 8-foot bed, but we knew that 3 full, honestly measured yards were going to fill his truck bed to the rim. After we proved that, he told us the other guys had been telling him he's been getting 4 yards in there for years. Honest measurements and honest folks who just want to do you right. So you come back. Erickson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
Another text here from the 262. Great game and win by the Brew Crew. Knew there always were and an excellent talent. Exciting ending in the 11th. All the team deserves the credit, along with Freddie Peralta and those scored runs and bunting at the end, walking in the run. Steve in Milwaukee got a question and a comment. The comment is that you need to get an updated Open to your show, right? Hey, wrong button. No big deal. When is Jeff doing a radio broadcast with Lane, and why is now Josh just popping up for the post-game show? So here's how that all works. Jeff will actually be on TV the next 2 days for Thursday and Friday's game against the Reds. And thus, that means Lane will slide into the 1 chair, so he has the first inning, and Josh Mauer will slide into the 2 chair. The new arrangement with the network postgame this year is that Josh is going to be doing the postgame shows, and then that allows the guys to kind of wrap things up and get out of there. And if Josh is going to be in the building, might as well let him get some work in as well. He does a great job with the network pre- and postgame, so that's the whole reason for that. Good question, though. And tomorrow it'll be, again, Lane and Josh for the next 2 games. And then whenever Jeff is over on TV, it's Lane and Josh. Whenever Brian Anderson is here to do television, it's Jeff and Lane. It will almost never be Jeff and Josh unless Lane has some sort of conflict and has to be somewhere. So that's how all of that works. Good question, though. With all that being said, I'm going to step aside. Let's go ahead and listen to Pat Murphy's press conference from earlier today talking about the victory. And, all right, how was the bunt called? Who called it? Did you think it was going to happen? And this, in his own words, was God's honest truth.
How impressed were you with Chad Patrick today?
Yeah.
How impressed were you?
You know what? Let's go ahead and play the right one here. Let me get that loaded up here for you in just a second. But in the meantime, I'm going to make some brilliant radio because I actually loaded in the wrong postgame file. So give me a second. This is brilliant, brilliant stuff here, Dom. Way to stay locked in. Everyone's in mid-season form here. It's totally no big deal. But hey, you know what? We can also shout out FanDuel because normally we rip it from them, but they haven't been posting it this year. And that's a little frustrating. I think the fans, just talking to folks, fans enjoy watching the postgame. I think because they learn something new every time that it seems like Murph talks, and you get a little peek at his personality, which is obviously incredible. And I feel like I'm spoiled as just a baseball geek that there are days that I'm sitting in Murph's pregame session, and he's willing to go into the weeds. He's willing to talk ball and really just kind of be vulnerable and talk about the game and talk about the things that went right, the things that went wrong, all of that sort of thing happening at the same time. So I really do learn something new. It feels like every day when Murph is talking to us in the media crew, it's a really, really fun session to be in. And whenever a national media guy comes in, they all kind of like do a double take, like, are they all like this? And they're like 25 minutes long, and they're like wide ranging. There's some Murph catchphrases in there too, and all these things. It's just, on the bus, plot thickens, nice man. It's pretty funny, but a lot of inside jokes. It's a long season. We all got to be friends here. Okay, I hit the wrong button this time, so let's get it right. Here is Pat Murphy's postgame from earlier today.
I said, it's a good idea to put a bunt down the first base line right here. You'll win the game. I said, okay. I said, it's going to be a breaking ball. Okay. And he did it.
So,
that simple.
Is there such thing as a better bunt than what he executed?
Kid strikes out 3 times and then comes and does that. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't having his best game. He's been swinging the bat great for us. He just stayed with it. That's relentless. The whole team. We had a lot of things. Sal lining into that ball there. I mean, just a lot of things, look like, we're kind of snake bit. But they stayed after it. And that's what I'm proud of.
Was it extra challenging considering everyone in the ballpark probably knows he's going to consider at the very least bunting there? Like, do you think that makes it more difficult to get a bunt down?
It does, except if you put a bunt like that down, there's nobody in the world that can defend anything about it, And bunting is a threat. When you have the threat to bunt, it causes trepidation in the defense because you can't play any closer than they played. And if you can execute that thing, it causes havoc.
Bernie sure filled that ace role today. Just kind of
My God,
exactly what you need.
He was as good as I've seen him in I don't know how many years, but that's a good baseball team over there. That team's a playoff-bound baseball team. They have great pitching. They have what it takes. They've put together it. They got a bunch of guys. They got maybe the top player in baseball in Bobby Witt Jr. And they play right. That's a really good team, and that's why I'm so excited because we battled. That's how we have to be. We have to battle and be relentless and never give in. And our pitching staff. I mean, Freddie he set the tone for everybody else. Even though we struck out 16 times, we left 14 guys on base. That's not ideal, But we came out on top because of that resiliency. But Freddie showed it from the get-go. He's like, here, I'm here. And just his first 2 outings this year, you're looking at a guy that, pretty darn special.
Murphy, both of these outings this year for him now, it's been a pretty balanced pitch mix, not as fastball heavy as he used to be. Do you think he's kind of figured something out on that front that can help him moving forward?
The numbers say that he's not as fastball heavy, but the truth is he's using his fastball to get to everything else, and he believes in his fastball. He's not like backdooring things or shying away from contact. How many did he walk today? You go back in Freddie Peralta's outings now, in 2 outings, and you see a stretch of 13 innings where he didn't walk anybody. You know, that's what it's about. Attack.
Mark, what'd you like about Garrett and Joey's at-bats to set up, right?
Yeah.
Especially just after how.
Well, Garrett, if I have this theory in baseball, if Manfred would do it, that everybody gets 2 tases a game. Every manager gets 2 tases a game. And I would have used one on Garrett when he didn't get the bunt down the first 2 strikes. So he wouldn't have got the chance to bounce back. But again, he bounced back with 2 strikes and got it done. And then Ortiz's bat was just terrific. I mean, just to work that walk in that situation is it's huge. And it showed me a lot because he hasn't been swinging the bat the way he wants to, although he had a good game today. Hopefully that helps his confidence. We're still a young team, guys. Let's be honest. Terang, Churio, Collins, Frelick, Capra, Mitchell, Ortiz, those are young, experienced players. Dunn's on the bench, young. Those are inexperienced position players. And, I guess some of them are growing out of that.
Murph, would Mitchell have got a tase in the 7th?
Yeah, I would have used both days on him today. It's a tough read. With 2nd and 3rd no outs, you usually don't go on contact. You read the high chopper. So we called read the high chopper. And I felt like it was a high chopper. And with Bobby Witt handling the ball, chances are he could have been out. But because Terang's such a good runner, you can get him to 2nd. You know what I mean? If you're in a rundown, whatever, you can get him to 2nd. And you're in the same situation. So it pays in that situation to read the chop. He didn't read it. So.
You mentioned confidence for some of the young guys. But what about Freddie? Does it seem like he's carrying himself, his demeanor, pitching, whatever it is, with like just a little more gusto, a little more confidence in himself early this year?
Sure seems like it. Those first 2 outings for me, gives up the home run that's only a home run in New York, gives up another one that's a home run in 9 parks. But, to pitch the way he pitched today against that lineup, I mean, you're seeing an emergence of another young player over there, Massey. He's a hell of a player. He's paid his dues, and he's emerging as a big-time player. We know Renfroe and the danger he has, but the middle of their order with or the top 4, that's strong.
I know it's early in the season, but what kind of confidence does a win like this give your team?
That's huge. You know what I mean? Because you really didn't execute during the game sometimes, and you really had the line out, and with Frelick with the bases loaded, and then they get out of that bases loaded, no outs, and you feel empty. But for McGill to go back out there, for Koenig to go out there, he's been up 3 days in a row. For Uribe to do what he did, he's been in the cooler since last. When did all that fiasco go down? May. For Uribe to do what he did, that's all a great thing. If you lose this game, you feel snake bit. So it's good to pull these out.
Good to get a dub. Good to get 2 dubs. Good to get a series win. Reds come to town. Let's talk about them next on 620 WTMJ.
Back with more Brewers Weekly after this.
I basically had a perpetual sinus infection where they would clear, get the meds.
And it didn't do anything.
Medications may not really help. They can be a temporary fix,
instead of trying to find the real root of a breathing triangle problem. And that's Mom chiming in. And what you're about to hear next was a first for Advent.
So my symptoms were the same. We actually had the same procedure on the same day. It was just a matter of, let's just do this. Why put it off?
An in-office procedure at Advent to get you breathing well is very convenient. And you shouldn't put it off, because breathing well changes lives.
I do remember the first deep breath.
Oh, I remember that.
The feeling of whoa, this is great.
Since then, breathing has gotten easier. Sleeping has gotten easier.
I came in over 10 years ago and I couldn't breathe ever, and now I can breathe. That's the best way I can put it.
Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Artwork, especially original artwork, can be pricey. But when you take it in on consignment from nice people like you, who are just ready to change the look of their home, you can price it right. And you'll find a lot of it at Design Exchange. Beautiful frame pieces by a number of notable artists. And new ones pop in all the time. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Now these tend to fly off the shelves. But don't worry, because our connection supplies us with a lot of them. Vintage ceiling tiles from once great old buildings in New York City that make for ultra-unique artwork. These items are definitely hard to find from anywhere else around here. So come take a look, and you'll probably find a treasure. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
CertaPro painters know how important your home is to you, and I know how good their work is. CertaPro did the painting at our house, and it's absolutely fantastic. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. And right now, call and ask about their spring sales event going on now through May 15th. They are the best in the business. Inside painting, outside painting, they do it all. Schedule your free home estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. I trust these guys. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro painters.
From the biggest plays on the court to the comments made in the locker room after, an in-depth recap of every Bucks game in 6 minutes. No more, no less. Bucks in 6 provides game recaps for every game. Hear the high-flying dunks from Giannis.
Puts it on the floor, spins down the lane, and plunges it through.
Or the deep threes from Dame.
Dame time has arrived with 107.
Bucks in 6 on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Find it now on bucks.com/plus or on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts. This is Brewers Weekly on WTMJ.
All right, this will be our last segment of the evening. Thanks for joining us here on a Wednesday edition of Brewers Weekly. You've got 4 straight post-game shows coming up for you as well. It's been a busy week of content for us here at WTMJ. And a reminder, you can find every piece of Brewers content we do, audio-wise, in podcast form. Brewers All Access, wherever you get your podcasts. Yours truly. I think we do great work there. Appreciate all the downloads. And if you're really a fan, if you really want to help us out, a rating and a like, if you're on Spotify, a little 5-star, a little thumbs up, goes a long way. It really helps more than you think. Maybe folks are trying to find a Brewers podcast, and hey, man, we're here virtually daily. We bring you into the clubhouse. We hear from Pat Murphy. I mean, it's hard to find the Pat Murphy audio nowadays. Tell your friends. If you want to listen to Pat Murphy sound, we'll have it for you on the postgame shows. Furthermore, we've got the Brewers warm-ups coming up this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've got the pregame show to the network show. We always have some fun content there. I have my first Sunday conversation coming up on Sunday. We spend 5 good minutes with a guest of importance to the crew. Let's talk about the standings. I'm just kidding. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Reds. They are off to a slow start, but so is really the whole division. 2-4, Cincinnati Reds. They are ice cold right now. They won 14-3 against the Rangers back on Monday, but have now been shut out in back-to-back games. Today by Jack Leiter. Yesterday it was a Maddox by Nathan Eovaldi. This will be their first road trip of the year, too. They come here to Milwaukee for 4, then out west to San Francisco for 3. Pitching matchup coming up tomorrow. Not many games on the docket tomorrow, by the way. Nick Lodolo, another lefty, shocker, against Nestor Cortez. Now, the good news is that this is scheduled to be the only lefty the Brewers will face in this series. Then, the rest of the rotation looks like this. TBA, which for the Brewers, I believe is going to be Tyler Alexander, the lefty. He threw a bullpen today. Against right-hander Nick Martinez. Saturday is Elvin Rodriguez against Brady Singer. And Singer looked great in his Reds debut last week. And then finally, Chad Patrick will get a second start against Carson Spires. Yep, that's Spires, nephew of Bill Spires. The Brewers rotation, this is kind of that weather the storm week because you got Nestor. Nestor is going to get back on track. That was an anomaly in New York. I believe it full-heartedly. Had a good conversation with him yesterday, too, in the clubhouse. Just about everything. Coffee, Cuba, pitching, being back in New York, everything. And he's got a good attitude about it, put it all behind him, and he's ready to pitch like he's capable of doing. But you get through these next 9 days, okay? In theory, if things go according to plan for all the rehabs, in theory, Jose Quintana can be back against the Arizona Diamondbacks. He can make his Brewers debut next weekend. The Brewers are there on the 11th, 12th, and 13th. And then also in theory, Tobias Myers could make his season debut by the end of the month. Maybe that Tigers series right after, but probably more likely that Athletics series, as he's going to throw a sim game tomorrow, and if that goes well, he goes on to Nashville. That's also very good news for him. So if Chad Patrick continues to perform well, we see another day like Freddie we saw today, you know you can weather this storm when Quintana comes back. And then Woodruff, maybe by the 1st of May. As for what the Reds do well, I mean, they've got this guy named Ellie De La Cruz. Ever heard of him? He's pretty good. But no one else really doing much for them right now. To be fair, they have quite an injured list, kind of like what the Brewers' pitching staff looks like on the injured list is what their offense looks like. So Tyler Stevenson, he has a strained oblique. That was suffered during spring training. Austin Hayes has a strained calf. That suffered during spring training as well. On the pitching side of things, no Andrew Abbott, no Rhett Lauder. He's got a forearm. Brandon Williamson still recovering from Tommy John surgery. He's not going to be a factor this year. Alexis Diaz has a strained hamstring. So they're hurting a little bit right now. But Ellie, he's off to a great start this year, no surprise. He's really cut down on the strikeouts, too. So we'll have to monitor that for the most exciting man in baseball, Ellie De La Cruz, coming to town. Tomorrow night, 6:40, same time, same place. And then Friday is 7:10, Saturday is 6:10, Sunday is 1:10. Real quick, I want to wrap up the program with 90 seconds of just reaction, thoughts to this week and a half, 2 weeks of crazy young MLB extensions. Right? We all woke up to the news this morning of Jackson Merrill's extension with the Padres, and then Christian Campbell's with the Red Sox, and now Ketel Marte staying put in Arizona. I mean, the list of guys that have been extended as of late is pretty wild. If there's somebody, a lot of folks are instantly going to say, William, extend William. And I'm not saying nobody shouldn't be extended. I love watching a lot of these players play. I'll tell you what. You talk to the guy who won the game for you today, Bryce Terang, entering his third year, right? He'll be a Super 2 this year, too. He'll probably be arbitration eligible. But I look at a deal like Andres Jimenez. Now, granted, that was a long deal. I don't think Bryce is getting $106 million, but maybe you can find a way to get something creative for Bryce, buy out a couple free agent years. I think that could be a realistic candidate for an extension for the Brewers, Bryce Terang. Maybe we'll talk about it more this week as more extensions are happening around the league. Could it be a signal of what's to come after next year? I don't know. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now when we talk about labor relations. But it's a good sign. Or is it? Is it a bad sign? I don't know. Point is, I'm on the player's side most of the time. Let's get that minimum money. Thank you to Brian Kelly, our producer. I'm Dom Catronio. Keep on swinging.
Wisconsin's Morning News is here for you every weekday morning starting at 6 a.m. Vince Petrano.
Spirits high this morning at American Family Field as the Brewers prepare to welcome fans back to the yard.
Eric Billstad.
President Trump will expand the number of countries going to be slapped with reciprocal tariffs.
And traffic with Debbie Lozica.
Eastbound on 94, still a little bit heavy from about 70th Street all the way through the Stadium interchange.
The news you need to know. Wisconsin's Morning News on WTMJ.
Over 60 years in business, with over 60 vehicles out in the field so we can respond ultra quickly to your emergency AC needs. When you call Quality for emergency AC service, you can count on a swift response to get the job done right away. So if the heat's got you to the point where it's just too hot to handle, call Quality and we'll get you the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality. Heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. When you need commercial or residential plumbing service, you need it now. Call Quality. We have over a 60-year track record of taking care of people. And with over 60 vehicles ready to respond to your needs, we'll be there in a hurry, so you won't have to worry. This is Anthony Zanevsky. For commercial or residential plumbing service, call Quality and get the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality for the signature service you deserve.
Call Quality. Heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric.
We are Outdoor Living Unlimited. We put cool stuff in your yard. Patios, decks, pergolas, outdoor kitchens, screen rooms, even in-ground pools. You dream it, we design it.